Happy game day, Bengals fans. We have a huge AFC North showdown in the jungle between the Bengals and the Ravens, with sole possession of first place in the division on the line. Welcome into our TriHealth pregame live stream. I'm Marisa Contipelli, joined alongside Geoff Hobson. Here are your Bengals inactives for this afternoon. Linebacker Logan Wilson, defensive end Khalid Kareem, cornerback Vernon Hargraves, and on the offensive side, tackle Fred Johnson, receiver Trenton Irwin, and halfback Travion Williams. Those are the inactives for the Bengals. But Geoff, I think the bigger storyline is who is not going to be playing today for Baltimore. They're going to be without both quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, who is still dealing with an ankle injury, and then Tyler Huntley, who has found himself on the COVID-19 list. That means veteran quarterback Josh Johnson is going to be getting the start for the Ravens here today.
Yeah, I wasn't assured Lamar was going to be out. I know he didn't travel with the team, but I wouldn't have been surprised for him to, kind of helicopter into next door here and put his cape on and come in and play. But didn't happen. So now they've got to try and win this big game with a guy that has been in their offense, for about 10 days. But you know what? Marisa, he's good enough. He's been around the league a long time. He knows how to play. They've got a great run game. He practiced with the first team for 2 days. So, this thing is people want to put it in the Bengals bank already. Sometimes, a lot of times, these are the hardest games to win, the ones that you are expected to win.
Oh, absolutely. And when Josh Johnson suited up for the Jets earlier this year, he had a pretty good showing when they played the Colts a couple of weeks ago. So he's definitely not someone the Bengals can afford to overlook today as much as they might want to. You have to make sure you keep your head very level for a game like this one. But you mentioned that Johnson has only been in the offense for about 10 days, Geoff. Just how different, if different at all, are you expecting this Ravens offense to look with him leading the charge?
I think it's the top run game in the league scheme wise, and they're going to keep that. They're going to keep the way they. That's why they're going to be dangerous, because they're not going to change anything. I think they'll just. If anything, they'll run the ball even more. And I think that Johnson will be asked to make the right calls, protect the ball, and make sure that I don't think. In a lot of ways it's different because he's certainly not the athlete that Huntley and Jackson are. But in a lot of ways, it's going to be similar because they're going to run the heck out of it, and they're going to try to get the ball to Mark Andrews. So, I think that's the key. That's still the key matchup. They got to make sure that Andrews doesn't go off, or if Andrews does go off, make sure Marquise Brown doesn't go off. Both of them can't go off.
Absolutely. Well, when you look at that Baltimore run game, as you mentioned, they're one of the best in the league, third most rushing yards entering week 16. But the Bengals, run defense is fourth best at stopping. They're holding opponents to under 100 rushing yards a game. They will be without DJ Reader this afternoon, who did go on the COVID list, but a guy we just saw on the screen a few moments ago, Mike Daniels, he has been called up from the practice squad to the active roster. And Geoff, I'm sure he is very hungry and eager to get out there.
That's a nice luxury to have on the bench at this point, a former Pro Bowler who's played in 10 postseason games to plug in here. It's not DJ Reader, but that's a pretty nice option to have. And, also, too, you're talking about the run defense. It's just been battered the last two or 3 weeks at linebacker. Joe Bocci, the latest to go down for the year with an ACL in Denver, means Marcus Bailey most likely is going to get his first NFL start. And so, if the Bengals are going to stop the run, Bailey's going to have to come up and have a big game, and so is Austin Clutro, who's been elevated from the squad, and the practice squad, and Cadre Jones. These guys who have not played much this year, they're going to play a lot today, and they're going to be important because Baltimore is they're going to run the ball. There's going to be no ifs, ands, or buts, and the Bengals can't get behind because they're a hard team. The Ravens are a hard team to come back on. And the Bengals can't do what they've done, the last 3 or 4 home games. Come out and make a brutal turnover early. Can't happen today.
Absolutely correct on that one. Have to take care of the ball and on defense try to force, a turnover or two to kind of help things out and help get your way going. But, Geoff, you mentioned Mark Andrews, and the Bengals have just had such a run here of going against opposing tight ends that are just elite tight ends in this league. Andrews is having just a phenomenal season for Baltimore. What is that test going to be like when it comes to, those linebackers and Bailey and Calitro and some of those other guys, tasked with, trying to shut down Mark Andrews and just how lethal he can be for this Ravens offense?
Well, I think they'll probably. I mean, Bailey is a cover guy, and but I'm sure they're going to get help. I mean, I got to believe that Jesse Bates and Von Bell, the two safeties, Ricardo Allen, the third safeties. I even think Trey Flowers, who can kind of go in between being a corner and a safety. There's going to be a lot of guys on him. It's just not going to be the backers. So, they did a good job on him last time out. And so I think that, and they'll have to really make sure because they're going to have to take him away because I don't know what option Johnson's going to have. So I'm sure that there'll be a lot of help there. We'll see 24 Bell, 30 Bates, 37 Allen. I don't know. You might see Lou Anarumo come out and take a snap himself. I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys on Mark Andrews.
Well, we have to talk about the other side of the ball. I mean, when you look at what this Bengals offense did to the Ravens the first time around, putting 41 up on the scoreboard, Joe Burrow throwing for a career-high yardage. Do you still like this matchup when it comes to the Bengals receivers going against the Baltimore secondary, who is still second to last in the league when it comes to passing yardage?
Yeah, you got to love the matchup, particularly since there's no Marlon Humphrey, and but the thing is that this happened a couple of weeks ago. The Niners secondary was thinged up, and they had a hard time because they were down in the game. So it all depends on game situation. The question is, everybody's wondering what's Wink Martindale going to do? The Ravens DC. Last week, very uncharacteristic. Everybody knows that Wink Martindale and the Ravens are going to blitz you. They're always one of the top teams in the league with blitz percentage. I think they only blitzed twice last week against Aaron Rodgers. Now, Wink got everybody in Cincinnati upset because he said, well, that was Aaron Rodgers. We're not ready to put the gold jacket on Joe Burrow. I don't think that was a diss to Joe Burrow. What it was respect for, what they did was they blanketed Davante Adams that didn't blitz. Mm-hmm. You can't do that against this club because they've got 3 Davante Adams. I'm not saying they're as good as Davante Adams, but they can take over a game like Adams can. And we've seen it. Higgins, 3 straight, since that day in Baltimore where Chase went for 201 yards, he's been rather quiet. But, Higgins has gone off for 3 straight 100-yard games. And Tyler Boyd, won the game last week with 3 huge catches, won the only touchdown they scored. So I think what the Wink was saying, and this is, you got to throw in Joe Mixon into that mix, that they've got, they can kill you. So if you blitz, they'll find a way to get you. I think that's what Wink meant. I don't think that was a shot at Burrow.
Yes, it's a nice luxury to have, Geoff, when you have 3 elite receivers like the Bengals do, and then you also add in a running back like Joe Mixon. That's going to be, kind of my key to this game. What I'm going to be looking for is, we know Baltimore is going to want to run the ball. Can the Bengals get their run game established? I think they need to go to Joe Mixon and try to eat up some of this clock and take over time of possession and really get that established today early in the first quarter, to show and to hopefully open up then some of the other, some of the passing game and some of the other options for Joe Burrow. So when you take a look at this matchup today, Geoff, kind of what are you keeping a close eye on?
I think you're exactly right. I'm going to go right with you, Marisa. You're exactly right. To me, Mixon holds the key because if they run the ball, that takes away Wink's options. So Wink, I mean, if they're running the ball and they're going play action, Wink can't always be blitzing you. Now he probably will. He will because he's also going to blitz the run. He'll blitz both the run and the pass. But if Joe's running the ball well, there'll be more opportunities in play action, and they'll just they won't be as comfortable. If the Ravens are no different, even though they're decimated. If they get you in a one-dimensional, they'll kill you. I mean, the thing about Burrow is, let's not have the 35 pass game, even up because they're going to hit you. So I mean, if he's got a six-yard completion, that's great. But these guys are going to get. I don't care how good your offensive line is. These guys are going to get you, and they're going to hit the quarterback. So, that's the thing. You got to keep the clock going, keep your quarterback protected. I think it's Joe Mixon. I think it's Joe Mixon's game. Really, it's December. Everybody's running the ball. Geez, the Browns ran for 210 yards yesterday, and they're getting ripped for not running it enough. So December is here.
That's right. Well, there is a lot on the line here in the jungle this afternoon as Bengals and Ravens will be battling it out for first place in the AFC North. You can catch all the action on CBS or listen in to Dan Ford and Dave Lapham on the Bengals Radio Network. Thanks for tuning in to your Week 16 pregame live stream presented by TriHealth.